Hey everybody, Kevin with Kevin's Way Works. So I recently completed a project that required me to cut a perfect circle, and the easiest way for me to do that is with a router and a circle cutting jig. Well, as usual, Kevin couldn't find his circle cutting jig. So I have a nice one that is commercially made that snaps on to the router. Couldn't find it anywhere. I have two other ones that I've made over the years that screw on to the base of the router. Couldn't find them anywhere. So I got to looking around inside the router bag and I found this guy right here. So right now it's in two parts. These bars right here normally screw into this piece right here. And what this piece right here does normally is it would be used to cut a parallel line or to trim something parallel with the edge of the board. So basically this piece would ride on the outside edge of a board and these bars would be up inside here like this, and then these would slide inside of your router base like this, and it cuts a nice parallel line. And I got to looking at that, I was like, wait a second, we could repurpose this. And this isn't a permanent change. I can still take this apart and put it back together and use that parallel cutting jig. This is temporary, or if you never use the parallel cutting tool like I have never used, you can just leave it assembled. So basically what I did is I took those two bars off, and I'm trying to get a good way to show you this. There we go. I took a piece of maple and I cut two lines in them, one over here and one over here, drilled holes that are just about the same size as these bars, and right here I drilled holes this way, right here, and then right in the center I drilled holes for this. And so what this allows us to do is have a clamping mechanism for these bars. So if we wanted to adjust this, we could. There's really no need to for this particular setup because the bar itself can slide in and out of the router base. I'll show you that here in a minute. But anyway, these clamp down. I had to recess them because this is the end that would go into a center hole for the circle you're cutting. So these couldn't be sticking out. I had to recess those, use a Forstner bit for those. And then I just went and I found some spare bolts and nuts that I had, and then those clamped down tight onto the bar and that bar. Now for the pivot point, we have a T-nut. We have one of those T-track T-bolts. We have a nylon locking nut, and then some, well, just one washer up here. And so that goes in right through there, and then you tighten this locking nut down, and it keeps everything good and tight. I used a T-nut and a T-bolt. T-nut because it recesses up in here, and it's low profile. I suppose you could use a regular nut in there if you wanted to, but T-nut seemed like the better option. I used a T-bolt for a T-track just because that's the shortest bolt I could find at the time, and it worked out perfectly well. You don't have to have that style bolt, you can just use a regular bolt. So that's what we have right there. Now let's look at the base for the router. I'm going to go ahead and remove the router from the base itself just to make it easier and lighter to work with. So right here on the base, you can see this base actually has these built into it already. Now, your base would have to accommodate something like this for you to be able to do this. This base obviously already has it. I'm just backing these out. The reason I tighten them down like that is because they end up coming out and falling on the ground, and they don't find them until you're sweeping up your workshop. So there's that. Now, you can put them through either way. If you have a really long or really wide diameter of circle that you're cutting, you'll probably want to stick them on this side. I mean, it really doesn't matter. Even if it's short, it doesn't matter which side you stick them on. So, there you go. Pick your radius, lock it down. And these are also like a T-bolt, a wing bolt, I guess you would call them. Little wing bolts, so that's locked in. So now what you do, get yourself a drill bit that's the same size as your bolt right here. Drill a hole in your source material that you're going to be cutting your circle out of. Pop that right down in there. Get your router bit in your router. Put your router in the base and just go ahead and cut your circle out. So there you go, guys. There is a quick and easy jig for cutting circles if you can't find your existing circle cutting jig. So hopefully that's helpful for you guys. I know that works really well for me. I have cut many a circles with this guy, and it works really well. So, happy woodworking, and thank you guys for watching. Kevin's Way Works.